India's context, we have seen Rabindranath Tagore, we have seen Krishna Gopal Mollik, we have seen many other authors in the country talking about homoerotic characters or homosexual characters. That representation is from the heteronormative perspective. The visibility that is very important is somewhere missing. So that is one part of queer writings. The second part is the history. Now, history, when we talk about history, we can think of where does it begin, where does it end, how does it start. Salim Kidwai and Ruth Vanita began that history somewhere, tracing back to the ancient literature of India. We'll have a small break over here, and then we'll come back again to discuss about the history and the most important other elements, key elements of queer writings. Thank you. Welcome back, audiences and spectators, those who are trying to learn something from MWG 103, Constructing Gender Through Arts and Literature. Today we have taken the Unit 5, what is called Queer Writings and Writers, and we were discussing the key elements of queer writings before the break. Now it is very important that we are talking about representations of queer people by themselves in literature. That's why it is very important that we have to deal somewhere to dig up the history that existed in this country, whether it is in ancient literature of India, whether it is medieval literature, whether it is the modern historical literature, pre-independent or post-independent, then post-globalization or pre-globalization. All these phases have to be taken into consideration when we talk about the history. Salim Kidwai and Ruth Vanita have done a very interesting work to draw the history of this queer writings from the very beginning. They try to bring lots of importance and give recognition where the acceptances of queer people existed in literature in different forms. Maybe not directly by the queer people themselves, but by other heteronormative people or cisgender people. Writers are more important over here. I would not talk about their gender identities, but the homoerotic imageries or homoerotic encounters or textual cues that we get over here, Ruth Vanita and Salim Kidwai helps us to do that. The third very important point is the visibility. What visibility are we talking about? The visibility that mostly we think of the LGBTQ community when we always talk in front, in society, most of the time we see transgender people only. At maybe the traffic signals that you encounter, or maybe at some occasions when it happens at your home or neighbor's home, you see some a child is born or a marriage ceremony being held, a group of transgender comes and asks their alms or their donations, whatever you term them as. That visibility is there. But what about their literature? Have we ever tried to find out? Does lesbian literature exist anywhere? Does lesbian write about themselves? Do gay people talk about themselves somewhere? Or the bisexual write about themselves? This is a very important aspect that we have to think of. And therefore, the visibility by the queer people or the LGBTQ plus community is very, very important. And there begins Vikram Seth. Probably the world knows about Vikram Seth because he has got a Booker Award and many other accolades across the world. People know about him. When he wrote Golden Gate, probably everyone was awed to understand that the queer people existed, or queer feelings, or queer spaces there. It is not about only identity, but the spaces are also very important that was existing. So what did Bikram Seth do? It is not an activism that we are talking about. It is just that the visibility became important. Now, when this visibility was there back in 90s, before that, what happened was Hoshang Marchant published a poem, a collection of poems. Now, that collection of poems came out in 1993, probably like 30 years back, 3 decades back. And most of people who are the readers of voracious readers or readers of literature do not know about these histories, because these books were hardly sellable, were hardly published in plenty of, not like the bestsellers. It has been published in numbers, huge numbers of thousands of copies. It was published in a very few copies and people had bought them. People have read them. The Kolkata-based Writers Workshop published it, and that kept on happening in 90s because the struggle that time was more important, and the pamphlets or the manuals that came out from the NGOs that have been working for the LGBTQ plus community was very, very important, because it was talking about HIV, mental health and sexual health of people from the community. Not only the community, in general, everyone. That was the period when NACO developed their own manuals through the help of this LGBTQ community who does the NGO that does the work for them. Now that is where the visibility began and the activism simultaneously began. And we have activisms in the queer writings itself. So there will be novels, there will be writers who are talking about activisms. For example, if you read Parmesh Sahani's books, you'll see that Parmesh is trying to talk about the activism that existed. Or if you try to read the autobiographies of Manobi Bandyopadhyay or Lakshmi Narayan Tripathi or A. Revati or Akkai Padamsali, you'll see that there are many, they are talking about certain kind of activism that existed. It is this thing, that is what is very important, that creating a space, creating a recognition, creating the space for acceptance was the main battle that they were fighting for. The last important point in queer elements of queer writings is the diversity. Now, when we take different authors across the country, we see many things. In the next slide, we'll talk about that in details. We'll see diversity because we are seeing a rich person, we are seeing a poor person, we see an urban character, we see a rural character, we see someone who is living in the hills, someone who is living by the sea, someone who lives sedentary life, someone who lives with the family, maybe a joint family, maybe a nucleated family, maybe staying in a hostel, all those things. There is a plethora of diversity that the key element that the queer writings are trying to bring out to the readers. Therefore, it is very important to consider these writings with lots of significance. Now, coming to the queer writers of India. When we talk about queer writers of India, what exactly are they talking about? It is very, very important what exactly they are talking about. They have lots of things to talk about. One is coming out, self-acceptance, intersectionalities. It is family and society. It is love, desire and relationship. Also, history and activism. These are all the topics that most of these queer writers deal with. Now, when we talk about that, it is very important to understand why we need to talk about coming out. Coming out is such an important phase of a queer person, LGBTQ plus people, that it is the most important indicator or the time that deciphers or that establishes the person's gender identity or sexual orientation in a particular way, whether coming out is important or coming out is necessary or it has to be done, it is a mandatory by the social norms or not. That is what these writers are trying to do. And self-acceptance is the most important, elements of the queer writers, because it is very important that the person who considers himself or herself or themselves as different from normative social human existences, then the non-normative or non-conforming or non-binary people are very important that they accept themselves. That is what these queer writers are trying to talk about. Now, in the previous slide, we were showing about diversity. Now, over here, we'll talk about intersectionality. What exactly is intersectionality? I have been talking about always that the queer community has been fighting against not only with the cisgender heteronormative society, but also with the heteronormative judiciary, also with the heteronormative patriarchy that is existing everywhere. But it is very important to understand that there is also within the community, there are particular problems, there are intersectionalities of identities that exist, including caste, religion, class, age, location. These are very important intersectionalities that we see in queer writings that the writers deal with. It is also simultaneously alongside is the queer spaces or the queer identity that we're talking about. For example, to complicate the theme or the storyline of that we usually see characters of different queer individuals with different diversified and unique in its own way. For example, if you take, there might be a character who is a Dalit gay man. His experiences will never be same as an upper caste individual who is existing in the same society. Or say, for example, a queer Muslim character from West Bengal will undergo different kind of experiences that a Tamil Hindu will be having. Or a queer individual, for example, from Northeast, say Manipur, will have a different, unique experiences from that of the Kashmir. We have authors who are talking about all this very interestingly or very importantly, that we have one side Agha Shahid Ali who is talking about Kashmir, the intersectionalities of Kashmir. And we have Kumam Davidson who is talking about Manipur. You see how queer writers are bringing the intersectionality of region, of locations. Then we have caste. We have caste where Hoshang Marchant or Raj Rao is talking about the caste dynamics that exist in the society with that of Arundhati Subramaniam. Or, for example, we have Mayur Patel who is talking about a different kind of age that you fall in love with, falling in love with a teacher. That is dealt with in one of the character. Whereas we have Hansda Somender Shekhar, who is talking about a tribal group of people with being a tribal gay. How does it feel like? What happens? What experiences does one grow with? Therefore, the queer writers examine multiple identities and how the writers are influencing experiences of queerness, challenges faced by these individuals, and also various aspects of life being shaped as a marginalized community. We have writers like Vasudhendra, we have Kunal Mukherjee, we have Sukhdeep Singh, we have Ashutosh, we have Devdutt Patnaik, we have Shaukat Mazumdar, many of them. Now, the other important aspect is family and society. As I said, coming out is a very important phase of or characters of any individual who belongs to this LGBTQ community. Therefore, the writers have chosen characters very thoughtfully, crafted them in such a way that they come out to a chosen friend circle or to colleagues or to maybe a sibling or to cousin or to parents to discuss about their sexual orientation and gender identity in details. Now, Indian queer writers explored these tensions through cultural and familial expectations. Because every family has expectations, the writers bring out that very interestingly. For example, Sandeep Roy in his novel brought out so beautifully the characters that one expects, the family expects the character to do this or that. Or Jerry Pinto, or Manish Gaikwad, or Arun Mirchandani, all of them are talking about these family acceptances, expectations that the queer individual is thrusted upon. Therefore, the gendered bodies and performativities that we are dealing with are brought about in this by these authors. The fourth important aspect that we are thinking of is love, desires, and relationships. Queer writers, of course, keep on challenging not only the heteronormative ideals of love, but also the complexities, the joys, and vulnerabilities of queer love and relationships, including romantic, including sexual, including platonic. The connections that is built through the nuances of portrayal of love, intimacy, and complexities of beauty. For example, we have Sharif Ragnikar, who is talking about love and desire in his novel. Sachin Kundalkar is talking about Shapnumoy Chakraborty, Shobha De, Neil Mukherjee, Karichan Kunju, Vijay Raja Mallika, Neil Mukherjee, Ghazal Dhaliwal, all of them talking about certain forms of love, certain forms of desires that each individual has. It is very important, therefore, to understand how the queer activism is brought out. It is not only through explosive kind of debate that brings lots of controversies, but also autobiographies, biographies. For example, Amruta Patel's graphic novel, Kari, brought lots of importance about lesbian relationships in the queer community, in the society. It is very important that, as I was talking about Ruth Vanita and Salim Kidwai, we also have to read Lakshmi Narayan Tripathi, we have to read Akkai Padamshali, Manobi Bandhopadhyay. Also, not only that, we have to see, very importantly, what kind of people are there who are queer writers. They are from different fields. For example, they are screenwriters or lyricists. For example, Ghazal Dhaliwal or Purva Asrani. We have fashion designers. The late Wendell Rodrigues, when his autobiography came out, talked about so much. We have filmmakers. For example, Onir or Sridhar Rangayan. Onir's autobiography talks about a lot. Cooking. The cook or the chef. For example, Ritu Dalmia. Her autobiography talks a lot. These kind of activism we do see. Not only the activisms by the NGO workers, but the NGO heads, Anjali Gopalan or Ashok Rao Kavi, or for example, Manavendra Singh Gohil. But we also see simultaneously Harish Iyer, Pavan Dhal, all of them, Akhil Katyal, Alok Vaid Menon, all of them are trying to bring certain voices of different parts of the country, of different people. It is very, very important for us to understand that this body of literature exists within the rubric of gender literature. Thank you so much, and I hope you have lots of queries and questions to ask. You please feel free whenever you want to ask, understand that queer writings and queer writers are very, very important when we talk about gender and literature.